The chamber of the Interstellar Council shimmered with fractured light, its crystalline dome reflecting the glare of warships suspended beyond the station's fragile shields. The sight of human vessels circling above, sleek, angular constructs born from scavenged alien designs, silenced even the most quarrelsome delegates. For centuries those walls had echoed with decrees of conquest, but now the chamber rang with fear. Species that once bellowed demands against Earth hunched low in their seats, scaled, feathered, and metallic bodies restless with unease. Whispers slithered through the ranks. The council had voted unanimously, long ago, to reduce humanity to servitude. They remembered their vote well. They also remembered the uprising. Chancellor Vaitari, tall and reptilian, his silver crest dulled with age, tried to maintain composure. His 3 fingers clutched the parchment-like decree of enslavement, an artifact he once displayed with pride. The document trembled now in his hands. "Order!" he called, his voice faltering. "The session must, remain orderly." No one listened. Fear thickened the air. Delegates hissed, clicked, and muttered as the shadow of Earth's fleet cast its thread across the chamber walls. The doors parted with a hydraulic sigh. Silence followed. Commander Elias Vera entered with measured steps. He wore no ostentatious armor, only a tailored black uniform marked by the insignia of Earth's liberation forces. A scar traced his jawline, a gift from battles fought in the mines where his people once bled for alien masters. His gaze swept the chamber, pausing on each species as if weighing them in judgment. The hush deepened. For the first time in generations, a human stood in the council not as property, but as power incarnate. "Commander Vera," Chancellor Vaitari greeted, bowing his head stiffly. "The council recognizes you as representative of your world." Elias let the silence stretch before he answered. "World?" His voice carried the edge of steel. "You stripped our oceans. You burned our forests. You called us less than sentient. And now you call Earth a world? Curious." A murmur rippled across the chamber. Some delegates lowered their eyes. Others clenched appendages in shame or anger. Elias stepped forward, his boots echoing on the polished floor. "Every species here voted to enslave us. You justified it as containment. Necessary, you claimed. But what you feared was not our violence. You feared our will." An insected delegate twitched nervously, mandibles clicking. "You misunderstand. We acted in caution. Your kind, your unpredictability." "Unpredictability?" Elias cut him off. His voice remained calm, but his tone brooked no defiance. "My grandmother died in your camps. She told me stories of the mines, where children dug until their hands bled, because unpredictability made them dangerous. She whispered those stories to me at night, and I carry them still. Was her suffering precaution? Or cruelty dressed in law?" The insectoid shrank into silence. Chancellor Vaitari spread his hands. "History is written in error. Perhaps I misjudged. Yet humanity has risen. You have your freedom. Surely we can." "Freedom?" Elias's laugh was humorless. "We stole it back. You did not grant it. You never intended to." He reached into his satchel and withdrew a brittle sheet of alien fiber. He unfurled it with deliberate care and laid it across the central dais. The council recognized it instantly. The decree. The vote. Every species seal embedded like a scar. Gasps filled the chamber. "I found this," Elias said, "in the ruins of your archives. The very document that condemned my people to generations of chains. Read it. Read your names upon it. Then tell me you did not mean it." The chamber quaked with uneasy silence. Elias's eyes swept across them, burning with quiet fire. "We remembered. Every lash, every order barked, every life discarded in your factories. You thought humanity would vanish under the weight of your boots. Instead, we learned. We studied your machines while we carried your burdens. We memorized your codes while we dug your tunnels. We built weapons from the scraps you cast aside. And when the time came, we rose." Delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some tried to speak, but their voices faltered. Elias leaned forward, his words slicing through the stillness. Now you plead. Now you call us allies. But I tell you this, humanity has a vote today. And you will listen. Veitari swallowed hard, his crest quivering. What do you intend? Elias straightened, his silhouette framed against the looming shadows of human warships beyond the chamber walls. His voice rang steady, unyielding. We intend justice. Not revenge without thought, not mercy without condition. But justice. The galaxy will answer for Earth's chains. The chamber held its breath. For the first time in its long history, the Council of Countless Stars sat silent, waiting on the decision of a species once considered beneath them. Elias let the silence linger, forcing every delegate to feel the weight of it. Then he spoke again, softer, almost cold. You have begged for mercy. Choose your words carefully, because humanity will not forget again. This chamber once decided our fate. Today, we decide yours. The decree lay between them, its alien seals glowing faintly in the chamber's light. No one moved to touch it. The weight of history pressed upon them all. Outside, the fleet shifted, engines humming like a warning. Inside, the galaxy waited on humanity's first true verdict. The chamber felt colder after Elias's words, as if the walls themselves recoiled from what had been spoken. Delegates exchanged frantic glances, their bodies tense with the instinct to flee, though there was nowhere to run. Beyond the dome, the shadow of Earth's warships pressed like a storm cloud. Elias remained still, his hands clasped behind his back. He waited. He wanted them to speak first, to reveal themselves under pressure. A delegate of the Voran Collective, her serpentine body coiled upon her seat, broke the silence. Commander, our people regret the Council's decree. We offer restitution, our fleets, our wealth, even servitude under Earth's guidance. Murmurs rippled. Others quickly joined. A scaled ambassador promised mining rights. A feathered emissary promised rare alloys. Each voice rose with desperate bargains, words tumbling over one another. Their eagerness stank of fear. Elias raised a hand. You offer chains in reverse. Do you not hear yourselves? After centuries of forcing humanity to mine, bleed, and bow, your first solution is to sell yourselves into the same? His words cut through the noise. The chamber stilled once more. Behind him stood several humans, advisors drawn from the uprising's survivors. General Lien, hard-eyed and scarred from a lifetime of war. Dr. Maria Salas, a scientist who once labored in alien factories before turning her knowledge into weapons of rebellion. They had earned their place at his side. General Lien leaned close, whispering just enough for Elias to hear. They're weak. Strike now. Demand unconditional surrender. Break their fleets before they find their courage again. Dr. Salas countered softly. If we make them slaves, we repeat the same crime. Humanity was not forged to become its oppressors. Justice, not vengeance, Commander. The words lingered. Elias said nothing, though the weight of the choice gnawed at him. He remembered a mine on Titan, where as a boy he'd watched his father collapse under the lash of a Ketheri overseer. The body had been left in the dust, unburied, because to aliens it was only a human. Elias had not cried. He had memorized the guard's face, the curve of the whip, the rhythm of cruelty. That memory lived behind every decision he made. Now Chancellor Veitari stood, his towering frame casting a long shadow. His crest glimmered faintly in the light, though the arrogance it once symbolized had dulled. You speak of justice, Veitari said. But do you know what drove us? Fear. Humanity's history, its wars, its weapons, your unpredictability terrified the Council. Enslavement was containment, nothing more. We believed if left free, you would bring chaos to the stars. Elias turned his head slowly, meeting the Chancellor's eyes. Containment? You slaughtered millions, stripped our oceans, burned our fields. Was that containment, or conquest disguised as necessity? Veitari's throat quivered, but he pressed on. If we had not acted, your species might have destroyed more than just itself. The words ignited bitter laughter from Elias. And yet here we stand, alive, unbroken, holding your galaxy at our mercy. What does that say about your judgment? A shiver ran through the chamber. No one dared answer. Then the tension sharpened. From the far end of the chamber, an aide stumbled in, clutching a data slate. His metallic skin bore the insignia of the Averic fleets. He knelt before his ambassador and whispered rapidly. The ambassador's feathers stiffened. Elias watched, sharp as a hawk. Speak. The ambassador hesitated, then confessed. Some of our warships, they move against your blockade. They mean to strike before this session concludes. The chamber erupted. Voices clashed, protests, denials, frantic cries. Elias did not move. His silence cut deeper than anger. General Lien smiled grimly. Proof of their treachery. Give the order, Commander. Burn them all. Dr. Salas's voice trembled with urgency. Show restraint. If we answer every betrayal with annihilation, we will drown in blood. Humanity must be more than vengeance. Elias's chest tightened. He thought of his grandmother, whispering stories in the dark. Stories of chains, but also of hope. She had taught him to endure not only by resisting, but by remembering what it meant to be human. He raised his voice. Counselors! Even now you plot while speaking of mercy. You test us as if we are still chained. But you will learn, we do not bend. The chamber quieted, waiting for his verdict. Elias stepped forward, each word deliberate. You will surrender your fleets. All of them. You will disarm, not partially, not conditionally, but entirely. Humanity will not negotiate with the same warships that once enforced our slavery. Shock rippled through the chamber. Some delegates shouted in protest. Others sank into silence, too broken to resist. Chancellor Vaitari's crest rose sharply, defiance flickering. Unconditional surrender? You ask the impossible? Without our fleets, we are nothing. We will be prey to your kind. Elias's eyes narrowed. You already are. The difference is whether humanity chooses to crush you, or teach you a better way. Do not mistake this for cruelty. It is the price of survival. We paid it in chains. Now it is your turn. A weighted silence followed. Elias's voice dropped lower, almost intimate, though the entire chamber heard. The uprising taught us patience. It taught us to wait for the perfect moment to strike. This is that moment. Do not test us again. The aide who had delivered the message quivered, his mechanical fingers clenching. Somewhere in the distance, the muffled echo of weapons fire rattled through the council's walls. Humanity's blockade had already met the Averic challenge. Elias turned his gaze back to the chamber. This is your warning. The galaxy survives only by the measure of Earth's mercy. Choose surrender. Or face extinction. His words hung like a verdict. Delegates shifted, glancing at one another. The weight of centuries bore down, pressing them toward a decision. Some whispered their willingness to submit. Others, like Vaitari, struggled to accept the collapse of their supremacy. Elias did not press further. He had said enough. He turned his back on the council, standing beneath the glow of the warships beyond. The silence of the chamber echoed louder than any speech. The galaxy trembled, waiting on what humanity would choose to do next. The chamber's walls vibrated with distant thunder. The sound was not natural. It was weapons fire, muffled by distance but sharp enough to carry into the council's heart. Delegates froze, every eye turning to Elias. They knew the strike had already begun, and they feared the answer. A messenger rushed forward, his metallic frame flickering with damaged servos. Commander Vera, he stammered, the Averic fleet attempted to breach your blockade. Your forces engaged. Their vessels have been annihilated. The words settled like ash. Annihilated. Elias gave no outward reaction. He merely inclined his head, confirming what he had expected. You see? His voice carried across the hall. Even now, when faced with extinction, some among you choose betrayal. And still you wonder why humanity does not trust your words. The chamber stirred, panic coursing through its veins. A dozen species rose, speaking at once. Some begged for immediate peace, others demanded vengeance against the Averick. Fear fractured unity faster than any speech could. Elias raised a single hand. The noise died. Enough. Sit. They obeyed. He stepped toward the central dais, where the decree of enslavement still rested. Its faded seals glimmered faintly, a relic of arrogance. Elias touched it once, as though reminding them, and himself, that memory could not be erased. This chamber condemned Earth without hesitation. You signed away our freedom in one voice. Today you will vote again. Not on us. On yourselves? Delegates shifted, confusion flashing through their eyes. Elias continued calm but unyielding. Two paths lie before you. The first, surrender fully. Yield your fleets, your weapons, your dominion. Accept Earth as your equal, and your leader. The second, refuse, and face the same fate as the Averick. Humanity will not hesitate. Gasps swept the chamber. The words were not bluster. Outside, wreckage already drifted in silent testimony. A frail avian delegate rose, wings trembling. Commander, you ask us to submit entirely. What future do you leave us? Slavery beneath humanity's heel? Elias's gaze hardened. No. Not slavery. You will govern yourselves, but under laws that prevent what you did to us. There will be no more decrees of enslavement, no more exterminations masked as precaution. You may call it subjugation. I call it survival. Murmurs echoed. Some nodded, others protested. The chamber teetered on the edge of chaos. Then Veitari rose. His towering figure dominated the space, his voice deep and resonant. Do not be fooled by their rhetoric, he thundered. They cloak conquest in the language of justice. Once you surrender, you will never be free again. Humanity will not forgive. They will rule as tyrants. Several delegates muttered agreement. Others recoiled, fearful of aligning with him. Elias faced him squarely. Tyrants? You speak of tyranny? I grew up watching your overseers whip children for resting between shifts. I watched your soldiers burn fields to starve cities into submission. You dare to speak of freedom? Veitari's crest flared, his voice rising. We feared what you would become. Look around, Commander. You wield annihilation as easily as speech. You prove us right with every demand. The words struck like iron. Silence followed. Even humans at Elias's back tensed, knowing the Chancellor had cut deep. Elias took a slow breath, steadying himself. Perhaps you are right, Chancellor. Perhaps fear of humanity was not misplaced. But ask yourself, who created this? Who forged humanity into what it is now? You did. Your chains, your cruelty, your arrogance. We are your legacy. And now you must live with it. The chamber hung between despair and acceptance. The choice was theirs, but the outcome was already written in the stars. Elias raised his hand toward the decree. We will not erase your names from history. They will remain, a record of your choice to enslave us. But today, you will add another decision beside it. A vote, for survival or for extinction. He stepped back, allowing the delegates to deliberate. The chamber dissolved into chaotic whispers, gestures, and urgent translations. Some species agreed instantly to surrender. Others hesitated, their pride warring with fear. Elias watched, his face unreadable. General Lien stood rigid, hands behind his back, silently urging him to crush them all. Dr. Salas clutched a data slate, eyes fixed on the floor, praying humanity would not cross the final threshold into tyranny. At last, the votes were cast. Holographic symbols shimmered into existence above the dais, marks of surrender glowing brighter than those of defiance. One by one, the chamber aligned against its former chancellor. Veitari remained standing, his mark the lone emblem of defiance. His eyes burned with fury, his voice dripping venom. You will regret this, Elias Vera. You will regret letting us live. Elias studied him for a long moment. He could have ordered the man's execution. He could have silenced that voice forever. Instead, he spoke with quiet steel. No, Chancellor. It is you who will regret what you made of us. Live with the shame. Watch humanity rise where you tried to break us. Veitari sank slowly into his seat, defeated not by death, but by survival under the shadow of those he had once enslaved. Elias turned back to the assembly. So it is decided. The galaxy kneels, not to conquerors, but to survivors. You will disarm. You will rebuild under new law. You will teach your children the truth of this day, so they never repeat your mistakes. The delegates bowed their heads, some in shame, others in relief. The vote was final. Outside, the wreckage of the Averick fleet drifted silently, a grim reminder of what defiance meant. Inside, a new order had begun. Elias stood at the dais one last time, his hand resting on the decree. His voice lowered, no longer sharp, but steady with resolve. We were forged in chains. And because of that, we will never forget. Remember this day, not as the day humanity conquered, but as the day you learned why we endure. We do not kneel. We rise. The chamber bowed in silence. The galaxy's fate had been sealed. Later, alone in the observation deck, Elias stared out at the stars. The warships glided in disciplined silence, symbols of a people no longer underestimated. Yet within him, unease stirred. Humanity had won, but at what cost? The line between justice and vengeance blurred like smoke against the void. Dr. Salas approached quietly. You spared them, she said. Elias did not turn. No. I bound them. Mercy is too simple a word. And us? She asked. He finally faced her, his eyes shadowed. We will learn what freedom means. We've never truly known it. But we'll build it. Not just for us, for everyone. If we fail, then the Chancellor was right all along. She said nothing. The stars reflected in the glass, countless and waiting. Elias pressed his hand against the cold surface, as though to touch the void itself. His voice was a whisper meant for no one but himself. We decide what to forge with freedom.